Hello guys, welcome back to TFD. Don't forget to like and subscribe. So, Candace Parker has once again kept it real when it comes to the WNBA and all the hate aimed at Caitlin Clark. This time, she's speaking out on the big question everyone's been asking. Is this team actually better without Caitlin Clark?
And for those naysayers out there that are like, you're better without Caitlin, they're not. They're not better without Caitlin. But I do feel like times like this, different people step up. Just like Natasha Howard stepped up during the Commissioner Cup. Yep. Like, it shows. And it can be a growth opportunity for teams. Like, Caitlin is one of those people that has a high IQ. So I know she's watching, and I know she's going to come back and make you all that much better. So it honestly is scary because not only are you allowing other people to step up, but you're allowing Caitlin to then survey and realize how she can add. I said from the get-go, Indiana Fever, scary.
So there you go, Candace Parker. We keep hearing about how much we're supposed to respect the legends of the game. That's fine, she's earned it. But it's funny how that respect shifts when a legend starts saying things that don't exactly match the old guard WNBA narrative. Suddenly, it's like, well, maybe she's not that much of a legend. But here's what Candace Parker said. Caitlin Clark's basketball IQ is off the charts. She's studying, she's learning, she's going to come back and make the team better. And she's right. We've talked about it plenty before. Clark is one of those rare players who doesn't just put up numbers, she elevates everyone around her. And Parker made a key point. When Clark's off the floor, other players have to step up in big moments. They get to grow. They get to take on those high-pressure situations. And you know what? That's 100% true. That's how role players turn into real threats, by being forced into uncomfortable spots and delivering. But here's the catch. That doesn't mean when Clark comes back, you suddenly change her game to fit those players. That's the trap you don't fall into. You let Caitlin Clark be Caitlin Clark, because when she's doing her thing, and you've got other players who've now proven they can contribute in crunch time, you've just doubled your problems for every opponent in the league. And now it becomes a chess match for opposing coaches. Do you still throw that heavy, face-guarding pressure at Clark to try and take her out of rhythm? Because now, when you do that, it's not just going to result in rushed passes and blown layups, it's going to lead to open teammates who've shown they can hit big shots. Or do you back off, try to contain those other weapons? Because if you do that, congratulations, you've just made life easier for Clark. Now she's seeing more open threes, not just from 30 feet, but from the 25-foot sweet spot. Now she's got driving lanes. Now that mid-range jumper, yes, the one she has but doesn't use often, becomes a real weapon. It's pick your poison basketball. And if Stephanie White is smart, she won't try to redefine Caitlin Clark for the sake of chemistry. She'll let Clark be the same player she's always been, because now the supporting cast is more confident and more dangerous. So when Clark comes back at 100%, teams are going to have to decide. Do we suffocate her and let the rest of the Fever torch us? Or do we spread the defense and watch Clark drop 30+ on 45% from deep? And remember, Clark still generates a huge percentage of her own looks because her teammates haven't always been able to find her. If that changes, if she starts getting more assisted shots, it's going to get ugly for the other side real quick. Anyway, drop your thoughts below. Not about her first game back, not the warm-up period, when she's fully in rhythm, fully healthy. What do you think happens? Because I think we might be about to see a whole new level from both Caitlin Clark and this Indiana Fever team. Candace Parker keeps it real on fans, booing to wnba. What did you expect?
What did you expect? I think this puts women's basketball on the map. I'm not going to lie. Because when everybody waited for KD to go back to OKC. Okay? They booed him. Big shocker. Everybody waited for Braun to go back to Cleveland. Booed him. Everybody waited for Kyrie to go back to whatever team he went back to. Because, he went back to several. Luka, same thing. We can go down the line. It's a privilege. It's a privilege. And that was expected. To me, I love being booed. I thought that was a sign of respect. If you're not booing somebody that can get buckets. So to be honest with you, I feel like as a teammate, it's Kalia Copper's job to stick up for her. But to be honest with you, DB had to expect this. When you make a conscious decision to leave somewhere and go somewhere else, it's difficult, but you have to take what comes with it. And I feel like you're not booing Dawana because she's not a good player. Just booing her because it didn't work out. That's fans, right?
Now hold on. Let me rewind for a second, because I want to circle back to what I started with earlier. Is there a real possibility that, after missing all this time, Caitlin Clark comes back and starts off the bench? Yes, absolutely. It's happened before with big-name stars in every sport. They get their conditioning back, they find their rhythm, and eventually they're right back in the starting five where they belong. But that's very different from the spin that's being pushed right now, the one that says the Indiana Fever are somehow a better basketball team without Caitlin Clark. And where did that little gem of a take start? Well, from none other than Caroline Peck, someone who, let's be honest, has had a very long and very close relationship with Stephanie White. Make of that what you will. And it's not just Peck. Others have piled on with the same idea that Caitlin should embrace being a Super Sixth player, that she needs to adjust her game to fit the Fever, rather than the Fever building around her. And yes, the Fever have picked up some wins in her absence, but let's be real, they've been beating up on some weak opponents and catching a few decent teams on nights when they couldn't throw the ball in the ocean. Because when they run into a team that's actually hitting shots, like the LA Sparks, suddenly that elite Fever defense we keep hearing about doesn't look so elite. How elite can it be if you give up 100 points to the Sparks? 100? That's not exactly locking people down. And today game against Phoenix Mercury. Mercury totally destroy Indiana Fever. Only one Sophie Cunningham play good game. But she also not getting ball. And here's the kicker, Candace Parker has weighed in on this as well, and we already listened her thoughts. But first, I've got to remind you of a clip from Caroline Peck about a month ago. I think I've played it before, but it's worth bringing back now, especially since we've had even more games without Caitlin in the lineup. And sure enough, just this past weekend during a halftime segment, can't remember which game it was, my brain's drawing a total blank, there she was again, repeating the same tired line, that the Indiana Fever are a better basketball team without Caitlin Clark.
You were at that game just now. Look, the Fever have been on a tear. They've won 2 in a row, a 25-point blowout of the Lynx in the Commissioner's Cup final, and then 27 against the Aces in this one. And both of those games without Caitlin Clark. How is Indiana getting this done right now?
Look, I think that Indiana is even more dangerous when Caitlin Clark doesn't play because she's a ball-dominant guard. The ball's in her hands a lot, so you know what you need to try to take away. But when you look at Indiana now, they've got so many weapons. And Kelsey Mitchell is playing out of her mind. Aaliyah Boston, I talked to Stephanie White before the game. She said in year one, Aaliyah Boston was back to the basket. Year two, two-man game. Year three, they're using her as a decision maker. And so when you have a point guard like Kelsey Mitchell and Ari McDonald making plays on the perimeter and a post like Aaliyah Boston, I'm going to tell you, Indiana, they are a threat, and specifically on the defensive end. Stephanie is so pleased with the intensity that they're bringing defensively with their length, their switches. I mean, they've wreaked havoc on their last two opponents.
So basically, what she's saying, whether she realizes it or not, is that Ari McDonald is somehow a better point guard than Caitlin Clark. Because she brought up Kelsey Mitchell. And we all know Kelsey Mitchell has looked significantly better with Caitlin Clark running the floor. Then she brought up Aaliyah Boston in the post. Again, a player who's clearly more effective when Caitlin's out there feeding her. She talked about the two-man game, the pick and roll, Kelsey Mitchell getting wide open looks with Clark drawing attention. So, if you follow her logic, she's essentially saying Ari McDonald runs that better than Caitlin Clark. Which, sorry, that's just nonsense. She also made this comment about, in year 3, Aaliyah Boston is becoming a decision maker. Really? Because we saw that last season. If we're giving credit for that growth to a coach, then it would have to go to Christie's sides, not Stephanie White, because Boston was showing that vision and IQ before White even stepped in. We were talking last year about her threatening triple-doubles. I think she had a game with 8 assists. People were already praising her as a passer because she is one. That didn't magically appear this year. Then there's the defense talk. Let's just remind everyone, This same, improved defensive team just gave up 100 points to a Los Angeles Sparks squad with a losing record. So forgive me if I don't buy the narrative that Caitlin Clark's absence has somehow made the Fever an unstoppable force. And this whole, she's ball dominant line? Please. There have been plenty of legendary players who are ball dominant in the right way. Being ball dominant doesn't automatically mean you freeze out teammates. Clark's game is literally built around setting others up. She led the WNBA in assists last year. She led the nation in assists 3 out of her 4 years in college, second the other year. She even led in high school multiple seasons. This is who she is. The real difference is that some players on this team, no names, but we know who they are, get tunnel vision. Once they decide to attack the rim, they're not seeing anything else. That's why a wide-open shooter in the corner doesn't get the ball. Caitlin Clark doesn't do that. She reads the floor. She makes the right play. So when I hear people like Carolyn Peck pushing this better without Clark angle, I have to ask, do you not understand basketball? Or do you have an agenda that's got nothing to do with what happens on the court? When Caitlin Clark is back to 100% and fully in game shape, that's when we're going to see the truth. And I'll be watching closely. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll catch you in the next one.